Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here it's been a while. I've been busy on some other stuff, but this is the spark plugs I took out of my lawnmower after I used engine restore. I threw the can away, or I would show you that. But anyway, I used a can of engine restore for a 4-cylinder. This is only a 2-cylinder, but the plugs look so much better. I took a video when I took these pictures here, and I must have deleted the video or something. I don't know just exactly what it was. But as you can tell from the picture, that one doesn't look too horribly bad. But man, that one looks really horrible. And what was happening, it would run for really bad, then it'd start running good, and then it'd run bad. And I pulled the spark plugs, and that's what I found. So that was when I changed the oil filter, put engine restore in. I cleaned up the spark plugs, and this is what the spark plugs look like. Now, I think I made another video, and it was only had 3 hours on it. Well, now I probably got, from the time I cleaned these up at the 3-hour mark to now, has probably been about 6 hours operating time. And the engine restore did a great job. I don't remember exactly how many hours I had on it when that one got all filed out, but it's helping. The thing is, even though the engine restore is helping, it's still using oil. So anyway, at least it did some good. That's all. That's what I'm saying. Again, I don't know. I had taken the plugs out about every 2 weeks and cleaned them and put them back in, but they never got that bad. And I think I'd ran it for about 3 weeks, which would have been somewhere in the neighborhood of about 3 hours, maybe a little more. But anyway, and that's what it looked like. And now, after 6 hours, this is what it looks like now. Now, this is the one that came out of the right cylinder, and that one came out of the left cylinder. And that's what I wound up with at approximately 3 hours, and this is what I wound up with after 6 hours. So even though it didn't stop the oil burning completely, it did slow it down considerably. And as you can tell, the spark plug is a lot cleaner now. And before I put these back in, I will go ahead and clean them again and make sure the gap's fine. Now, I don't know if you can tell that or not, but it's got a fairly good size gap there. And I've been gapping them at 40 thousandths. And I know that's a lot for a lawnmower engine, but when it was running, it's running fine. So I'm just going to leave it at that until it doesn't work, and then I'll start reducing the gap. In fact, I'll have to check these, but I think I had, I may have reduced it to 35, but I had it at 40 thousandths, and it was running great at that. I mean, it hot, cold, whatever, man, it'd fire right off. And in case you forgot, here's my mower. It's got it says 12.5 40-inch cut. Well, wait a minute. Here it is. You can see this better. See, 12.5 horsepower, 40-inch cut, 5-speed. And this is obviously not a 12.5 horse engine. It's not a Briggs engine either. It's a Kohler engine. It's 25 horse, 2-cylinder. And I'll tell you, this thing does a great job. Tall grass, thick grass, it doesn't matter. It doesn't bog down. The only problem that I did have was it ripped apart one of my spindles. I'm not sure exactly what happened. I think I got a bunch of grass or something up in there. It stopped the blade, and it literally ripped the pulley apart from top to bottom. And when I took the spindle apart, the lower part of the spindle was stripped out, and it had broke the spindle adapter that goes between the adapter and the blade. But anyway, it was an interesting project. It really wasn't as difficult as I thought it would be because I thought I was going to have all kinds of wiring problems. And I'll show you something here that really surprised me. This piece right here, all these wires right here that go through this junction, I never changed anything. I just put those together and it worked. The only thing I had to do a little different was the Briggs did not have the starter solenoid on the starter. The starter solenoid's up underneath there. So all I did, I ran the hot wire to the starter solenoid, and then I ran a hot wire from the starter solenoid to here. So when the key's on, that's the only time this is going to get power. So it's using effectively two starter solenoids, but it works. And it's charging the battery as well. Whenever I've had it running, of course the battery looks really nasty right now, and I really need to replace it because if I ran it every week, I didn't have a problem with it. But if I don't run it every week, say I let it go for 2 weeks, then I would have to jump start it. After I jump started it and run it, it would still, I could shut it off after cutting, say, the backyard, take a break, and it would go out and restart it and it would be fine. But anyway, I need a new battery, but I'm going to wait till springtime to get me a new battery for it. And this thing here, I've changed the oil in it on several occasions. And other than taking the spark plugs out and cleaning them, I really haven't had too many problems with that other than that. But like I said, the one time it was running bad, and the reason it was running bad was because of that plug right there. But after I cleaned it, used the engine restorer, like I said, it runs great. The only thing I really have to judge it by is when I hit tall grass. And I have to be careful because I can't normally cut the grass faster than third gear, because if I go faster than that, even though the engine doesn't bog down, the blades don't have enough time to cut the grass because the machine's just moving too fast. So I usually keep it in about second or third gear. If the grass is real tall, I'll use second gear just because I can make one pass and it'll do a great cut. Whereas if I put it in third or fourth, or especially fifth, it just runs so fast that the blades don't have time to cut the grass. That's my conclusion. I'm not sure if I'm right or not, but that's just a conclusion that I came up with. But anyway, I really enjoyed this project, and I'm very happy with the machine now. And like I said, all I'm doing today is I'm checking the spark plugs. This is what they looked like after 6 hours. This is what it looked like after 3 hours the first time around. So anyway, like I said, the engine restore helped as far as keeping the plugs from not fouling, but it's still using oil. So I don't know, maybe the oil is going past the valve guides or something of that nature. I don't know. And quite frankly, for what I've got into this mower, I don't even care. I just try to take care of it the best I can. Next summer I'll do another power wash on it to get it all nice and clean, because you can tell it gets pretty dusty when I'm cutting the grass. I do have another couple of adjustments to make. These right here, I had to use those to put the hood on. Otherwise, because this engine's a lot taller than the old Briggs was, it sets out a little farther than the Briggs. So I put these brackets in there. I don't know if you can see this bracket any better. Maybe. Oh, here you go. See this bracket right here, from here to here. That bracket right there. Anyway, they're both the same on both sides. And I used nuts and bolts, as you can tell. This is threaded rod. And what I wound up doing was I didn't want to use the nuts because they would come loose. So I just drilled holes through the threaded rod, used these pins. It makes it pretty quick to take it in on and off if I need to. And but these, I got to adjust these too. They're a little bit too far forward. I need to adjust them back slightly. And what my plan is, I want to bend them back just a tiny bit, maybe 50 thousandths at the most, probably closer to 25 to 30 thousandths. And then I want to drill a hole through this piece here, this piece, and into this, and then put me a small bolt or a pin in there to keep it from moving around. That's what I'm wanting to do on both sides. And I think other than that, I think everything's going to be fine. But this thing, this right here too, on the throttle, I set this up a little differently, and what the problem was, I put it in backwards, and that's why fast is down here and slow's up there. I don't know if anybody'd really care one way or another, but anyway, that's why I did that. So, what my plan is now, I'm going to clean these spark plugs up again. These are Champion RC12YC. And I believe that's what this calls for. Anyway, I'm going to clean them up, put them back in. And as you can tell, even on this one, even though it's cleaner, it's still a little bit dirtier than this one. But like I said, the engine restore did help some. And one thing about the engine restore, every time you change the oil, you need to add the engine restore. Otherwise, it'll get thinned out and it won't do any good. But that's okay. But the next time, what I did this time around was I only used half the can. And then when it went low, I put the other half of the can in. The next time, I'll just put the whole can in, then top it off with oil, start it, run it for a little while. And I always change the oil filter when I change the oil. What I'll do is, after I change the oil and the filter, I just put the whole can in, top it off with oil, run it for a little bit, check the oil, which the oil filter on the other side, they usually take a little bit of oil and then top off the oil again and go from there. I mean, I've been running it, like I said, for 6 hours. And like I said, it did slow down the oil consumption somewhat. It's about in the, well, I'll show you here. I don't know if you can see that very well or not, but anyway, let me see here. Anyway, the oil level is right here where my fingernail is. And after 6 hours, that's how low the oil went. Well, before, every time I cut the grass, it would go from the full mark all the way down to the add mark. And that was just one cutting. And now I can cut my grass 6 times, and that's how much it's slowed it down. So it slowed it down considerably. I know it's, you can't see it, but that's where my fingernail is, that's where the line is. The oil level is, rather. But anyway, that's it. It has helped considerably, I think. And it's probably even helped the way the thing runs. Because I've used it on cars before, and it did a great job. It really made the cars run better. But anyway, I just wanted to show everyone this. So I'm going to clean these up, put them back in, and go park it again. I'm thinking I'm going to go ahead and run the thing out of gas because I don't want to leave it sitting over the winter with the gas in it. And I might go out and start it from time to time, but if I have to, I just go take some more gas out there. The thing I don't like about this is leaving it set is because if you run it out of gas, then it takes a long time for the engine to crank over to build up enough vacuum to make the fuel pump work. So what I've done, I've got a vacuum pump, let me see, right here. and I just unplug the vacuum line from the engine to the fuel pump, which I think is this one right here, and then just hand pump it, and it will pump the gas through the fuel filter from the tank through the fuel filter into the carburetor. Makes it much easier to start. It's less drain on the starter, less drain on the battery, and less wear and tear on the starter. And as fast as this thing normally starts, it's much easier to just do it the way I do it. I know it sounds like a lot of trouble, but it's not really. Just all you need to do is clamp this clamp, pull it back, pull it off, put my vacuum pump hose on there, pump it up, and sometimes I just pump it till it starts getting to the point where it starts getting hard, and when it does, then I just take the vacuum pump off, put that back on, hit the starter, and then normally it'll start right off. But anyway, again, that's just something that I do. It doesn't mean I'm right. That's just the way I do things. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this video is getting a little bit longer than I anticipated, but I hope I've explained a few things to you. And some people, a lot of mechanics tell you, well, you shouldn't put additives in the oil. You should just fix the engine. But you know what? I think it was like $9. Hey, $9 versus having to remove the engine, rebuild it, replace all the gaskets. Probably just needs piston rings. The valve head may need a valve job. Seriously, all things considered, for $9, it's worth it. To me, it is anyway. Well, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to everyone out there. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you and goodbye.